here today.
Sorry. What'd I tell you, Nick? I was like, just go with the flow.
Let's go with the flow. I'm going with it. I'm flowing with it.
You're doing a good job too. We are on. Yes. Okay.
Are we on now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Niky, where did you go to law school?
I went to the North Carolina Central University.
Oh, that's right. You know who also went there? Demetria, who's been a guest on our show. Bree also went there. Demetria Howard Watkins. She graduated the year after us. So 2012.
Oh, okay. She came before I did. Let me tell you, the journey to get there was amazing, but the experience was awesome as well.
Okay, so tell us about the journey.
Oh, well, I guess with the journey to get to law school was kind of, I always knew I wanted to go to be, but I just didn't put that plan into play. You know, having a kid, being married at the time, and all the other stuff, I was just, you know, had put it on the back burner, really. And remember, I just spoke a little while ago about I was going through all this stuff with family law, and I was going through the separation and everything else, and I just randomly ended up in North Carolina. And my grandmother was there, was right before she passed away. She said, "Are you going to do this lawyer thing or not?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." About that, Grandma. So she was just like, "Well, look, there's a school out in Durham. You should go and check it out." And mind you, this is like February-ish, March-ish. And so majority schools acceptance times had already lapsed. So I went up there, and it happened to extend their deadline that year because they were having computer glitches or something like that. And I applied literally on the last day, and here I am.
That's amazing.
That was a fun story. Yeah, that was a fun time.
I totally believe in fate, and my dude is like, I don't believe in fate. So like, I take things like that story you just said, and that's like my evidence that fate is a thing, right? Yeah. Like your grandma pressured you, like, what are you doing with your life? You went there. The computers had randomly glitched. I mean, come on, right? Like if that's not fate. Oprah has a saying, she says, the universe will speak to you, and it will continue to speak to you until you listen. Right. And that's how hard things happen, because you're not listening, you're not paying attention. You, on the other hand, you heard grandma, you went and did it, and the universe was speaking to you. It was all meant to be, and
it aligned. It aligned for you, and just like it was supposed to. So that's dope.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that is very dope. And then you also, so you were going through a divorce, if you don't mind us talking about it.
That's
you
fine.
Were going through a divorce in law school, because mind you, law school is already hard enough, right? Then on top of that, to be going through something emotional, and you already had a child at that point, right? In law school, because Lauren did too. Lauren already had a child at that point too, in law school.
Lauren, the law babies. Isn't it fun?
I tell people my son went to law school at 3.
Right.
Which is true. And now he wants to be a lawyer for real, because he's 16 now. So he wants to be a lawyer. It makes me so proud. Oh, he'll be like, that's speculation. I love it.
Oh, wow. I had to teach my baby how to walk upstairs in the law school, because she turned 1 on my first day of school. Like that was
love that. So, yes, that's
I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was in a new city, state.
I was in a new city.
Frame, everything.
Everything. I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot, y'all. You know, of course, I have a daughter, but I didn't have her in law school. What'd you say, Lauren?
That's how you know you can do anything, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that is amazing to have some children that are that small, that y'all both, and then still accomplish what you have accomplished to get through law school, to raise, you know what I'm saying, wonderful children, and then make it out of that, it out of that, and now running your own thing.
How old is your then 1-year-old, Niky?
She's 8 now. She's 8, so she'll be.
So when my son and I started law school, we did it. He was 3 when we started, and then he turned 4 in December. And he came to me a few years ago, and he said, and this is the most valuable thing, I think this is the best lesson I've ever taught him. He said, I noticed that when we were in law school, he says we were in law school.
Okay.
When we were in law school, we were kind of poor and we really didn't have as much money. And I noticed now that like if I want a video game, I don't really have to wait for my birthday anymore. And that like we have more money now. And that's the best lesson you can ever teach your children, right? Is like, if you want to earn money, you have to go work for it. You hustle, 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 and then you'll see the rewards, right? And so you gave that experience to your daughter. Was it your daughter that went with you? And that's invaluable. I mean, like, she can't learn that any other way. And every year you do better, she sees it. And she'll emulate it, right? So to me, it's like, I know, Bree, you're like, wow, you guys did that. That's so hard. Like, in my mind, that's like good parenting. All I did was good parenting, right? Like showing my son what can be done, and it, you know, what should be done or whatever. I don't know.
But what I don't want you to take for granted is, yes, you did good parenting, and it's amazing, because you have to understand, having a kid by itself is a hard thing, and raising that child to be a good person in this world, that's hard, right? And then going to law school by itself is hard. And then so now you combine these two things and you did amazing things with both. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, what we're not gonna do is downplay it. You know, we're not gonna downplay it. And I didn't do it. So I didn't do that. You know, I didn't have kids when I was in law school. And so, you know, looking back at it now, like when she was that young, and like, and then remembering what law school was, and like, no. So my hat's off to you, ladies. I think it's amazing. I think anybody who does it, I think it's amazing.
I just think, and another thing that I love about North Carolina Central, man, you talk about a village. Like, they had an amazing village. Like I said, mind you, at the time, I didn't know anybody. I had cousins that lived in Raleigh, but I really wasn't connected to them actually until I went to school, and they were like, come stay with us for the semester. So I was like literally driving back and forth from here, Maryland, to Durham monthly, so I could just see her and everything. Because my parents were like, I heard the first semester of law school is kind of rough, so she's going to stay here with us, and you go work out that first semester. So I was like,
you're so lucky.
Cool,
you're so lucky to have support. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So after that first semester, I mean, I cried like daily, because my parents were like, you had that connection, and it's not there. And I needed her there. Like, she is my why, right? And I needed to have that reminder there. But I tell you, Bree, you know, we're from Texas, and this white stuff comes out the sky during the winter, snow. And I don't know how to operate in those things. Thank you.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know how to operate in those conditions. And
did it snow while you're in law school?
Yes. And things.
How do you get to school? Do you have to go to class when it's snowing? Tell me about this.
The North Carolina Central University did not close, but her daycare did a couple of times. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I had some awesome professors that actually kept my daughter in their in their office. While I was in class, I would go in between like classes, wait for downstairs to open up, because that's where our little cafe was, go get her something to eat, then go back to class. If she was like a little tired, lay a little pallet on the floor so she could go take a nap while we were having a snow day or something like that. But I mean, you just had to make it work. And I'm just glad she's an awesome kid. To see her now, she's super independent, and it annoys me a little bit. But I mean, like, you know how you just want to be there and be hands-on with the kids?
Oh yeah. Totally.
Like, I get a call or an email from her music teacher that was like, well, Joelle was in class making eggs. I was like, what? She's like, well, like, I made her breakfast, but for some reason she wanted eggs. And so during music class, she wanted to go and make eggs during class, like while I'm on the conference call and everything. And I was like, this child, like, she's super independent. She just gets up, does her thing, makes sure her work is done. I just go through, just check it and make sure it's done. But I love that. And I think she got that. I don't
even do that. My kids are fully independent. I'm like, look, y'all, I got to make money. Okay. You like this life we're living? you do you, I'm gonna do me. Don't make me come back. If
Okay.
I have to look over you, we have some real problems.
Real
Yeah.
serious problems.
I've been rewarding my children. Oh, you cooked? Oh, congratulations. Okay.
Right.
Like the sooner they cook, the better. Because mom does not cook. My daughter just came in. She said, Mom, I'm learning how to make, what was it, grilled cheese or something. It was on the TV or whatever. And I was like, good, take good notes. Take good notes. Tell me what you need. I'll purchase the supplies and stuff. And then you can make me food. Right.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We're
not comfortable with making a bowl of cereal with no milk. Okay, so dry cereal.
We gotta start somewhere.
You
start somewhere, right? Like whatever. I don't care. Just make in your mind that you're gonna learn how to cook and you're gonna feed mom. That's it.
Right? Like that.
Not
but
hard.
y'all, so what the underlying theme of what I'm hearing today is that, so I live by, I make it happen regardless. So if that means I got to bring my child with me to wherever I got to bring my child with me, then that's what I do. She made it in a couple of courthouses before, when I couldn't take her to daycare, like she was too sick for school or daycare, but not sick enough to be out and about, had to bring her, and so everybody is always like, well, how do you do it? And how do you just do it? You figure it out and you do it.
Yep.
And then if and then if somebody won't give it to you, like in my situation, I built my life to cater to what I wanted to do with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, when she was in school, she's not in school right now. We're homeschooling, but when she was in school, I wanted to be sure that every event that they had in the middle of the day, I didn't have to ask anybody to go to that event. I would just go to the event. And that's what I did. So I built my calendar and my schedule around her events, right?
Right.
That was important to me. So that's how I built my life. And people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, no, I created this lane. This is my lane right here. I created this. I made this right here. Mm-hmm. So and that's what I hear in your story, Niky. And I know Lauren has done that as well. And so I love it. I love it. Demetrius, she's watching. She said, good morning, fellow Eagle. Class of 2007.
Hey, legal eagle, fly high.
I love that.
Yes.
So that is awesome. So Niky, let's talk a little bit about, because I knew you did copyrights and trademarks, because you were like one of the first people that I connected with.
Yeah. So hold on, I gotta ask, Niky, did you say you do patents?
That's what I want to talk about.
Well, ironically, I ended up in an internship of working at a big tech firm while I was in law school. So I ended up working with patents and was really introduced and immersed in the world, if you will. Once I got out of school, I don't know, maybe I have a patent attraction to me, but like all my peers ended up being patent attorneys and things of that nature. So, I just have a love for this, just the whole IP regime, all the different regimes. So yes. Did
you get your undergrad in science?
No, I am not patent barred. Now let me make
it clear. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No, at all.
Okay.
I think that it's a really unfortunate obstacle that we have to, that they limit so many people that I know that are very knowledgeable and worthy of being patent barred. And I even had a professor that, she's amazing to me. And she had to go back to school while she was teaching just to go back to take the patent bar.
Yeah.
I'm not as dedicated as she is at this juncture in my life.
Say now, right?
Right.
Give it a few years.
Right. I take nothing for granted anymore. But I think it's unfortunate that, so many people, that they miss out on so many people that are just knowledgeable. These open book tests.
Social sciences are a thing too, right? Like psychology is a science. Those people are like doctors or something. So it doesn't even make sense. But the reason I ask is that when I do career day, I always tell the kids that the best career path there is to go get a STEM degree, because that's what's real hot, right? Get you a STEM degree because that's hot. You're going to get a job. And then when you get sick of people and working, which you will, go back to law school and then sit for the patent bar. That's what I tell them. I say, if you want to get rich,
right,
4-year degree in something that pays you well on the other end, engineering, STEM, whatever, secure that job. You got 5 years before you're sick of people. Then you're going to want to go back to school. You do your 3 years in law school. Boom, you're making $600 an hour.
Well, I always remind people that there's alternative paths, right? So instead of even having to go back and get that STEM degree, you can still do patent litigation. So that is still a thing. You can still go down that path. You just can prosecute a patent as far as, you know, filling out an application for someone and submitting it to the USPTO. There are ways to work in the patent area. Oh yeah, you can do patent. That's why it's mind-boggling to me that the USPTO has this block that I can't submit a patent, but I can go defend one.
Right.
And so it just doesn't make sense, because I mean, when you're defending a patent, you're going before the federal court, right? The federal court is not having a requirement for you to come through the door and go defend something. So, you know, I think that it does definitely, it unfortunately impacts a lot of these and things of that nature who don't know about these pathways that you can only go down. The gatekeepers of the patent world, I think, really need to lift that realm so people can come in.
I love it.
That's
and you also litigate trademarks and copyrights as well, right? You do the whole IP
yes,
litigation.
those are my other children.
Yeah.
Yes, those are my other kids. Yes. I need to claim them on my taxes.
You
but
do.
yeah, I when I was in law school, I did the trademark clinic. We had a clinic there. So we actually worked directly with the USPTO out there, and I did an internship with them as well. Then when I graduated law school, and I will say this proudly, failed the bar exam on my first attempt. And I ended up scouring, looking for a job because I didn't know where I was going to end up. I wanted to stay in IP, ended up working at the copyright office. So I ended up working there, took the bar again, passed while I was working there, and kind of dipped out so I can go and do everything that I wanted to do because I knew there was very little movement over there at the time.
That's dope. And so right now, what are you doing? Do you have your own firm, or are you working with somebody else, or a combination of the two?
Combination of the two, right? Okay. So yeah, I have my own firm, the Wooding firm. And so I don't, the thing was, I know, like I said earlier, that family law was coming after me. So I didn't want to limit myself to just IP. So I think, Brie, I may have called you at one point because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go into other areas of law. Every other IP lawyer only does IP, and I don't want to do his other stuff. So, I mean, that's one thing that if anything that anybody hears me in this conversation right now, do what's best for you. That's like somebody else's path is not necessarily your path. And
who cares what they're doing? Nobody cares.
Right. Niky, you could build a real niche there. Like people who own IP get divorces all the time.
And I have dealt with it with artists.
Exactly. If I was a nerd with patents, I would want you to be my divorce attorney, right? Because
artists that sell like their art. You know what I'm saying? And then artists, music artists, I mean, all of that, the records, all of that is all entangled. And if you don't have a specialized attorney, family law attorney who understands that part of that side of that music, in that entertainment industry, you're going to get screwed. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, so, that's like, a great niche.
It's so like that's exactly the area that I'm in. And the problem, like I said, initially was I didn't see anybody like me. You know, I knew I wanted to be in family law. I just didn't know what that meant for me. How could I make it mine? Right. And, when a client comes to the door and we're doing searches, I remember working with another attorney that is only in family law. And they were like, well, why are you looking up copyrights and patents? I was like, because that could be marital property. What are you talking about? Have you not seen the movie? What's that movie called? Acrimony.
Oh,
remember Acrimony? Okay, it was like Taraji. Was that Taraji? Am I giving her credit? Okay, so Taraji P in the movie, she's married to a guy that creates this new invention, right? And so during the marriage, this was created, and so technically that was marital property. Yeah. And so therefore it depends on what state, and we could go, that's a whole another podcast or whatever, but it depending on the state, it's 50-50 split.
That's community, baby. Yeah.
Right. So they ended up settling during the movie, and he gives her a pay, he settles and, you know, pays her out. And I think afterwards, which is after, you know, after the judge hits the gavel and, you know, it's over as far as distributing property and things of that nature, she then realizes, oh my gosh, I missed out on all these royalties, and she gets mad and everything else. And I was all like, girl, if you would have known me, honey. No, I'm just joking. But,
For real. Yeah.
But you know, like, it's just like a whole interesting dynamic, because there are so many people right now that are going through divorces, especially during this pandemic, unfortunately. There's so much creativity happening at the same time.
Right.
So how do you, you know, marrying
Combine
those
the two. Combine
right.
the two. Not even divorces, but
Right.
child support. This child support with these artists and these NFL players and these NBA players, like, that's a real thing. That's and how much the person can get or shouldn't get or whatever. Like, because of course, because you play in the industry, like you're playing in, you know what I'm saying, in the professional sports, they gouge you a little bit harder than they do regular people. So that's a whole nother podcast as well.
I think that's why they get pregnant by them, Bree. Hello. And they
Right.
get the paycheck.
Right. But that's why you need an attorney
Right.
that knows both sides of the game.
Actually, on that note, I'm going to give some free legal advice to everyone who's watching. Whatever you do not ever hook up with someone in California. Period.
Why?
They have palimony. They have palimony. I have friends who have been sued for palimony behind living with a girl. Okay. No, we're going to get married.
Palimony?
Yeah. Enlighten us.
Palimony is alimony for boyfriend and girlfriend who split.
Oh no.
Okay. Be still my heart. Okay. So the most famous palimony I can think of is that Shanna Barker. She was married to Travis Barker. But before she married Travis Barker, the drummer, she was with Oscar de la Hoya.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived together and they had a daughter together. And she got the highest palimony settlement in California history. And like De La Hoya had to pay her millions a year or something. Yes, and that was outside of the child support. That's palimony.
I've never heard of palimony.
I want to look,
so
and I'll tack on to that legal advice. Y'all, cohabitation agreements are a thing.
It
Get
is
involved with them. If you avoid palimony and avoid giving up your rights to your creativity,
right.
Stick that in there, because people think that all because we live together that I contributed to this and everything else. A cohabitation agreement is
real. It's real. And let me add my third piece on here.
Do it.
Let's stop going to our friends on Facebook and letting them talk us into prenups not being a good thing. Okay. Let's be real here. Okay. And let's just talk to an attorney about why you should or should not get a prenup. I hate all this talk about, well, that means that you don't love them and you already.
Okay, I was just saying, so let me add my 2 cents on that. If you are grown people, you are 2 grown people coming to table with grown things and grown ideas, you damn well better want a contract that outlines the T's and C's of the grown relationship. Okay. Right. When you 18, 19, fine. You don't need a prenup. You're not worth anything. Okay. But when you grown, you should want that shows they do love you. I love you enough to define things. I love you enough to set boundaries in writing.
Right. Right. And then I love you enough that when I come into this, I knew you had the Bethancourt law firm prior to me coming in here. But I'm not going to try to take half of the Bethancourt, like things of that nature. And Amen. So that's all I'm going to say on that prenup.
I didn't realize I honestly, Niky, I had never heard of a cohabitation agreement. Yeah. And I recently started cohabitating. So when we hang up here, he's going to get a call like, hey, we need to get this written out real quick. Yeah.
It's just like with people who buy houses that are not married yet. That is a whole situation.
Well, so the way I would handle that personally, being the lawyer that I am, is a trust. Because I love trust. Mm-hmm. So my cohabitant and I are going to buy property. We're writing a trust together. But Niky's point, he and I are both creators, right? We both have real professional jobs, and I create content. He invents nerd shit. I don't know. But if one of those things took off on either side and then we didn't work out, now all of a sudden I have to give up half of my content. No.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
I mean, they could easily throw themselves as a co-author.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. That's why you are so valuable, having the family and the patents.
Yeah.
And not everybody, right? A plumber, not necessarily going to need that kind of knowledge or whatever, but people like Bree and I, artists, software developers, like nerds, I call them nerds. I have a bunch of friends who are like that. And that is the kind of advice they need going into a relationship and coming out, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't know that. They have no clue.
Right.
So
even working at the copyright office, literally, you can write, you can submit an application. Lauren could submit an application. Bree could submit an application. My daughter could submit an application for the same thing. They don't even check the question. They're not checking to see who submitted it and everything else. Y'all go litigate that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very interesting that so many people can submit for one thing. And so, yeah, it can go left.
And
really
then they just
quickly.
toss it to the court.
Toss it to the court.
Okay.
The only question the court wants to know is there a registration? Technically, there could be 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
And I can imagine, Niky, having those things heard by a family judge. They're gonna need a lawyer like you, the judges, to hold their hand and walk them through it, because most family judges are dealing with like domestic violence,
Correct,
pretty easy stuff, and like people not paying child support. Like that's pretty much their day, right? So to come in with this heavy, like, oh, he has 18 patents and she has copyrights and that judge is gonna be like,
wait a minute. Right.
Right. And not only that, opposing counsel, you're up against opposing counsel who has no clue what any of it is. So you're right.
So if they had Niky, she's gonna own them.
Right. And
go ahead. Sorry.
So what I have found, Niky, just like you, is that I do family law, but I also do entertainment law, right? And so I have found that at the beginning, people were like, well, that doesn't match. Don't tell everybody you do because it doesn't match. And I'm like, well, I ain't here for no matchy, right? Like, this is what I do. Like, y'all take it or you leave it, whatever. Like, this is what I do. But I have found that, when it comes to my NFL players, when it comes to my artists, when it comes to my producers, like, it's real out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? And the two mesh together perfectly. Like it's you're having to educate everybody involved, including your own client,
who's the perfect example of the two of y'all would be the perfect team for this guy if you're in California, is Dr. Dre. Because he had money
with this case. And you know what? My co-counsel colleague Andrea Hintz, plug for her, she's a patent attorney. Actually, she was a part of the litigation for his trademark. Remember when the Dr. Dre and the other real Dr. Dre, was part of that whole litigation. Litigation.
That's dope.
Plug. Yeah, sorry.
Plug. I like it.
Well, no, actually, I'm glad you did that, Niky, because now is the time where we have 5 minutes left. So we usually kind of take this time to plug our guest's business and then ourselves. So tell us the name of your business. Tell our listeners how to get a hold of you. Obviously, you have a very special knowledge. And so there is someone out there who needs you right now. So tell them how to reach you.
Absolutely. Yes. So I am owner of the Wooding Firm. So I can be reached at www.thewoodingfirm.com or give me a ring at 301-357-7729. I felt like what was that? I need cash now. Okay.
But anyway,
right.
what states are you practicing in, Niky, just for the?
Right. So I'm in Maryland right now as far as family law and things of that nature, but I have co-counsel or doing pro hoc in various different states, done that. The beauty, of course, of IP law is that I can work with several clients in any state and internationally. So I have done that as well. So usually for when I'm divorcing, I always say marrying, but really they're going through a divorce. Having those two sides of me come together, IP and family law, that usually resides here in Maryland because I can only, basically practice in those two areas here. But I've, of course, like I said, I've been asked to co-counsel, been asked to just ask for advice and things of that nature in various other states. And I'm happy to do that for other people as well.
Okay, give us your number again.
Call Niky Wooding. Okay, no joking. But 301-357-7729.
Perfect. And then I'd like to also mention that she can also do trademark and copyrights are also federal, so that can be done wherever as well. So if you need her to register and whatnot, you can call her as well.
Yes. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my other kid. And my other hidden child that comes out every once in a while, Trade Secrets. Ooh, those are I love them.
Fun, yeah.
They are so fun, and people don't realize the beauty of them, that even your favorite products such as WD-40, Coca-Cola, everyone else, they use Google, they don't have patents, they have trade secrets. And people knew the beauty of trade secrets, they'll probably get one too. But that might be a different podcast.
I love
that. All right, Bree, tell us how to reach you, my friend.
Hey guys, it's your girl Bree, as always. Y'all can reach me at 1-833-4-BREE-LAW. That's 1-833, the number 4, BRI Law. Remember that I do entertainment law, I do trademarks and copyrights registration. I do LLC formation, small business contracts, and family law. So call me.
Awesome. And I am Lauren Cadillac. I own and operate Cadilac Law. We are real estate focused firm. So that means we do anything that touches real estate, property taxes, income tax, probate, estate planning, trusts. We help a ton of real estate investors get them into the right type of investment vehicle. We have a bookkeeping service, and we pretty much are a one-stop shop for anyone who touches real estate. Our number is 972-845-1200, and our website is cadillaclaw.net. It's CADILACLAW. Also, I do have a bunch of content on YouTube at Cadillac Law, where I have estate planning and Texas real estate information, and also Signature Block here. Our show is every Friday. We start at 10:15. We're on Facebook Live. We have a YouTube, and we are also live on Instagram during the showtime. Niky, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been awesome to meet you, and I hope that we're now friends because you and I have such a similar story, and you are so cool. Yeah, thank you for coming. Bree, do you remember who next week's guest is?
Nah, we'll see him next week.
But it's going to be someone awesome. So hopefully we'll see everyone next week. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful
Bye, guys.
Thank y'all. This has been great.
Yes, thank you.